discussion that there are 3 states in the District of Columbia that passed similar bills. What you haven't heard today, you haven't heard a lot of things. You haven't heard that there were 20 states that rejected these bills, from Hawaii to New York. A lot of very red states, Illinois, Connecticut, Minnesota, Rhode Island, have rejected these bills. And the reason, I think, I've worked with a lot of people in these states that have done this, and I think one of the reasons the legislatures have rejected these is that they've basically seen the same kind of dog and pony show that you guys have seen today. A lot of well-planned, well-scripted, testimony by very, very partisan activists and well-funded activists. And a lot of it is a fraud. You're not being told, for instance, that although the APA, which was brought up as saying that this is a good bill, that the former president of the APA recently wrote an article in USA Today rejecting this bill, saying that he's seen a lot of good things from this kind of therapy, and basically saying what everybody's known about all of these groups, that Nicholas Cummings, the former president of the APA, said that the gay movement has largely taken over and pressured these groups to do these things. So this goes back to the American Medical Association in 1973. None of this can be taken seriously, and I think that maybe you may know that. You heard about shock therapy. Shock therapy hasn't been used in the United States for 40 years. You heard about the Jones versus Ferguson case. What they didn't tell you was a lot of the testimony was debunked, and that the judge wouldn't even allow testimony on the other side. What you haven't heard, or you heard a little bit about, was that there hasn't been a documented complaint about any of these lurid stories in the United States that you've been hearing about for the last 35 years. And the woman from the HRC gave an excuse for that, but why wouldn't there be at least one documented complaint? This is basically just hysteria being drummed up, and 20 states have heard it and decided not to pass this because children, especially children who are late, who have terrible issues, need help. And they need help in dealing with these things. They often become suicidal, and they need help with that. And so I would urge you to look around the United States and do what a lot of these other states have decided is the right thing for children. Thank you.
Hi, members of the committee. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Diane Split. I'm the parent of a son who identifies as homosexual as a result of negative childhood experiences. He was in counseling for those issues until he was referred to LGBT activists by a guidance counselor at his high school without our knowledge or consent. These activists told him that he was born gay, which science does not support, and that anyone who didn't embrace his homosexual identity was rejecting him, including his parents. They also convinced him to quit therapy, telling him that it was dangerous. This is therapy that a therapist that we were referred to by his pediatrician to deal with these negative experiences. This caused a sense of stress, confusion, on an already emotionally fragile teenager. No parent should ever have to reconvince their child of their love because of such cruel interference from activists. In 1973, the American Psychological Association, the APA, removed homosexuality from the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, not because of any scientific data, but as a result of ongoing and hostile activism from both outside and within the organization. The voting process was not anonymous and free from intimidation, and it was not a unanimous decision. It was removed by a slight majority. Proponents argued that the disorder, a disorder by definition, must cause distress or be debilitating for the person experiencing it, which they claimed was not the case for them. Members who warned that those who did experience distress over their homosexual identity should never be prevented from seeking therapy to overcome it, but activists have been trying to take this right away ever since. Former president of the APA, Dr. Nicholas Cummings, has himself helped hundreds of former homosexuals change their sexual identity, and Dr. Joseph Nicolosi, who also successfully treated numerous former homosexuals, exposed members of the APA's being openly homosexual and bisexual activists. These are individuals controlling the APA's position on LGBT matters, which is being used to influence public policies, including bills such as these, even though legitimate research does not support their narrative, and many members of the APA disagree with it. The so-called conversion therapy and electroshock therapy people are talking about today does sound abusive, but this is not what this bill addresses. Calling successful, compassionate counseling or talk therapy that has assisted countless individuals to overcome unwanted sexual identities, abusive practices, is misleading and deceitful. Despite the rhetoric, there is no scientific proof that change effort therapy causes harm. Let me finish by saying that people who want to engage in homosexuality are free to do so. This bill, however, seeks to prevent others from determining their own sexual path. It restricts the constitutional rights of parents that has been continually eroding as a result of this agenda, and it would prevent children and adolescents from overcoming issues at a critical time of their emotional development when sexuality is known to be fluid, and would penalize therapists for providing treatment that is both ethical and effective. For these reasons,
Sorry, you have to stop.
okay, I have a copy of my testimony. I also have a letter from the American College of Pediatricians that opposes this bill and bills like it. It provides the scientific proof that people are asking for that links homosexuality to childhood trauma.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is David Robinson. I now live in Connecticut, but I lived the first 49 years of my life here in Massachusetts. I graduated from Long Meadow High School in 1970. I first experienced sexual urges when I was 14 years old. I was a freshman at Long Meadow High. I had an erection while I was in the locker room looking at other boys, especially muscular, athletic boys. This happened to me several times. At one point, somebody pointed out to me that an erect penis is designed to be inserted into a vagina.
Would you please, I kindly would ask you to submit your testimony, and I think we're finished with that.
I did submit it, but the fact of the matter is, if that person said that to somebody today, if this bill were passed, it would be illegal. It would be illegal to tell somebody that a penis is, an erect penis is designed to go into a vagina.
I'm comfortable with your testimony, and I would ask you to curtail it at this point and submit it. Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Okay, I'd like to ask Tina Edwards to come forward.
Damn, sorry.